Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with a video.
I'm completely shocked, devastated, and out of words right now, so I'll try to explain the situation to the best of my abilities. With the current state of mind that I'm in right now, please let me know if there's any more information I can add. So, for some context, I'm a 28-year-old woman and my husband is 29, and we've been married for 4 years and dating for 6 years. I've known my boyfriend's younger sister, Bella, 26, ever since my boyfriend and I started going out. We lived in the same small town way before we met in college. Everyone basically knew each other here, so I was fairly well acquainted with my boyfriend and his family, although I only started going out with him when we met in undergraduate school. When I first met Bella, she was an amazing person, or so I thought. Being an only child, she was like a younger sister to me that I so desperately wished that I had. We got along very well. When I first met her, it was almost like I clicked with her as instantly as I clicked with my husband when I first met him. Our personalities, our interests, and everything in between matched, and so I started hanging out with Bella a lot. Bella met Josh, 26, through mutual friends when they both were in their early 20s. I still remember how giddy she was the day she told me he asked her out. Her brother and I were so overjoyed to see her so happy. Ever since then, we've been in contact with Josh as much as with Bella. We often went on trips and vacations with them both and built many beautiful memories with one another. Now, onto the current issue. Like I mentioned earlier, Bella and I are super close, and so we hung out together most of the time, visiting the mall together, the beach, trying new restaurants. We did it all, even when my husband or her boyfriend weren't around. However, since the past few months, I had noticed that Josh and Bella seemed a little distant with each other, and as I wasn't sure if I was just assuming things, so I decided to ask my husband if he thought the same, and he said no. Thinking that I was just overthinking the entire situation, I just decided to brush it off. Today, Bella and I were hanging out normally at her place. Being coffee enthusiasts, we were having a discussion about the same when Bella revealed that she found a generally good brand of coffee beans and that she was going to make a quick run to the kitchen to grab the pack. I nodded and watched her leave the living room where we were sitting, where I saw her phone's notifications buzzing with multiple texts. It wasn't just 1 or 2 times, but probably 8 to 9 times. My next move is what got me into this mess, and a lot of the comments will judge me on the basis of that. It will be rightly so. I decided to take a peek at her screen. I leaned my head towards the lit-up screen where I saw something I genuinely wish I had never had. Multiple NSFW explicit messages to her from a name I could not recognize. I checked once again to make sure it wasn't Josh or that I was just misunderstanding, but unfortunately, the bitter secret unraveled. I became quiet and tried to relax myself when Bella walked into my room. She picked up her phone as she handed me the packet of coffee beans, which I pretended to look at when in reality my gaze was set upon her. I saw her expression change from a smile to almost a flustered look as she quickly set her phone down and asked me about what I thought about the coffee beans. I just nodded in agreement and told her I liked it as she went on about it and suggested that we should go to the new cafe, open next close to her house, etc. I again replied in agreement and decided to cut the meeting short because at that point I was starting to feel anxious about the whole situation. So here's where I'm at right now. Sitting at home, writing this as I sit beside my husband watching television, it hurts my heart every time I think about the damage my sister's actions will cause the family. Not only her relationship, but also the relationship between us, her brother, and my mother-in-law. Would I be wrong to tell my husband without having any proof? Should I talk to my sister first, or should I just let things unravel by themselves? Any advice would be much appreciated. Hi guys. I know I'm pretty late, but I needed some real time to think over the situation, and I've decided to approach my sister-in-law first to see if it was somehow just a complete misunderstanding, which I was hoping for, but unfortunately, that was just not the case. I asked my sister-in-law to meet me at the cafe she suggested we should try out, and that's where we met. I believe that she suspected I figured something out because I could sense a lot of tension and awkwardness in our conversation, which was very unlike us. It took me a lot of courage, but I started off by asking her if she had anything to say to me, questioning her if things have seemed okay between her and Josh. Initially, just probing into the situation to see if I could get some sort of answers, Bella's replies seemed very short and calculated. It was almost like she was trying very hard to not slip up. So I decided to get straight to the point and told her what I saw on her phone the other day. I tried my best not to be accusatory and made it clear with multiple apologies that accusing her of cheating is not my intention. After a couple of minutes of silence, which seemed like an eternity, my sister-in-law broke down crying and confessed to me that she caught herself in a very bad situation. She went on to explain that a couple of months ago she went out of town for her college get-together, organized by her old friend group. Josh couldn't join because of work reasons and urged her to have fun. That's where she bumped into her ex, and they started talking. She revealed that although their conversations were purely platonic at first, one thing led to another, and her feelings rekindled for him. She said she first hooked up with him by telling Josh, and she was out to meet me. The next time, she claimed that she was heading to meet her colleagues for drinks, and just like that, she came up with one excuse after the other to continue the dirty lie. Hearing Bella spill out all of this between her tears made me sick to my stomach. I mean, how could she do that to a man like Josh, who loved her more than anything? I couldn't utter a word out of shock, and I just heard all that she had to say. After telling me the details of her ongoing 4-month affair, she starts begging me to not tell anything about this to my husband or Josh. I mustered up the courage to ask my doubts about their distance and if it was anything related to this, and she confessed that it was. Her and Josh have been getting distant because she cannot get herself to look him in the eyes after what she did, and poor Josh is just wondering what happened to his otherwise wonderful relationship. I tell Bella that I cannot keep this a secret from her brother, let alone John. I give her the ultimatum that she either comes clean to the both of them or I will have to. She starts weeping bitter tears and begging hysterically to not make her do this. At this point, a lot of the customers started staring at us, and I just picked up my bag and left because I was unsure of what to do. Hi all. A lot has happened since I last posted. Things turned out completely different than I would have expected them to be. I'm quite distraught while writing this update. After reading all your advice and comments and waiting for my sister-in-law to make a move, I realized I could not live withholding the truth from my family that they rightly deserve to know. So I decided to first talk to my husband about it and thought that we could work something out to explain to Josh the situation in a better manner. So when he got back from work, I sat him down, explained to him the entire situation, the entire account of the affair, just like sister-in-law had told me so, and me seeing the text. As I went on speaking, my husband got angrier with every passing moment, which was very unlike him. I thought his anger was targeted towards the mess created by the entire situation, but once I was done talking, he blew up. He started going off at me about how I'm a horrible wife, how I could make up all these lies to save myself, and how I clearly have too much of a nerve to blackmail his baby sister just so she could hide my affair. I could not utter a word out of my mouth as my husband spewed out all these lies about me and had no idea where he got them from. After going on his rant for a while more and not letting me speak, he took my silence as me admitting to my wrongdoings and asked me to pack a bag and leave, which I did. I left to stay with a friend because neither I nor him could stand to see each other after everything that went down, and here's where I am now. I have no idea where my husband got this story from or how he got this story. I suspect my sister-in-law got to him first and twisted the entire situation onto me to save face. I'm still not sure what to do. I decided to stay silent and only in contact with my side of the family. The turn of events shocked and devastated my parents, and they decided to come pick me up from my friend's place to live with them until things get sorted between my husband and I. But honestly, the way he just blindly believed my sister-in-law, instead of trying to have a mature conversation with me, makes me not want to go back to him, because who knows? Tomorrow he'll pull the same reaction on me if someone else told him a lie about me. Now, on to the actual update. After a couple of days of radio silence, I received a call from my mother-in-law. Like my husband, she went on a rampage telling me how utterly disappointed she was in me. I figured she was talking about the false affair claims, but as she went on to speak, she also revealed her true colors. She spoke about how I deserved this coming to me for trying to hurt her daughter, and that's when my suspicions turned into the truth. It was my sister-in-law who had poisoned my husband against me. At this point, I'm just completely blank. The people who I thought were the closest to my heart are turning their backs on me, and things seem like they're slipping away out of my hands day by day. This was not what I expected, and definitely not what I wanted. Just got off the call with my husband and thought that I should update you all. From the call, he sounded like he was been crying a lot. All he could say was that he wanted to talk to me this afternoon, and I agreed because I think I deserve to tell him my side of the story regardless if he believes it or not. And so, we met up at the local cafe, and seeing him took me back to the last time we spoke. It was a gut-wrenching feeling as we made eye contact. I could tell by his looks that I wasn't the only one crying. As soon as I sat down, he started apologizing to me. He did not let me say a word as he revealed that Josh had caught sister-in-law's affair. Josh, much like me, stumbled across my sister-in-law receiving a message from her affair partner. He revealed that the text that my sister-in-law received was an address to a hotel, and as Josh already had his suspicions, decided to go take a look for himself. His suspicions were pretty much cleared up as my sister-in-law lied to his face about her whereabouts. Still, to be 100% sure, he decided to follow her. When he got there, he was met with the sight of my sister-in-law getting into her affair partner's car outside the hotel before sharing a kiss with him as they both got out and walked into the hotel. Josh instantly broke it off with my sister-in-law as he believed that there was no chance of reconciliation. Sister-in-law's boyfriend decided to call my husband and tell him about the entirety of the situation, and that's when it clicked for my husband. Josh told my husband that the day the argument ensued between me and my husband, his suspicions grew about my sister-in-law as he had them for a while. My husband told me all of this as tears formed in his eyes. He apologized some more and said that he could not wait until he takes me home and makes it up to me for all that he's done for me, and that's where I stopped him and told him I needed time and space to think about everything. My husband seemed a bit shocked at my reaction, not sure why, but he was quiet and told me I could take all the time I needed. I decided to tell him about the call I received from my mother-in-law and how it was one of the reasons why I needed this space. Husband told me that he did not know about my mother-in-law's involvement in this situation, and I believe him. My mother-in-law does not look like she would ever stoop this low to support lies, especially considering the fact that she was cheated on herself in her previous marriage. Unfortunately, this is not the end of it. I received a very angry call from my mother-in-law the very next day I met my husband, and I figured that she finally got confronted by my husband and Josh. She continued to say how it's not Bella but me who tore the family apart. In short, the call was basically her berating me and blaming me for all the things going wrong because of my sister-in-law's actions. She told me how sister-in-law had to move in with her because Josh kicked her out of his apartment that she used to live in and that her own brother won't talk to her anymore. Although her words hurt, I knew I had done nothing wrong. Bella had this coming to her the day that she cheated on Josh. This wasn't my proudest moment, but at one point of the call, she started going off about my parents. She told me they clearly did not teach me enough about holding the family together, which is why I turned out the way I did. A bit rich coming from her, I know. But this comment set me off to a point that I just told her I didn't care what she thought, that karma's going to get to her every time if she and her daughter continue to act the way they did. I told her, instead of berating me, she should look after her daughter, who clearly needed better values than her, before hanging up. I haven't heard from her since. I blocked both her and sister-in-law's number. As for my husband and I, we're going to start back contact eventually with time to see how things go for us. But for now, we both have enrolled into individual therapy, as we both, especially my husband, needed it. Thank you for your advice and support, guys. NTA, OP, sister-in-law is the real a-hole here. And can we talk about mother-in-law? OP stated that mother-in-law got cheated on as well, so the fact that she still supported sister-in-law's actions is very disappointing. Shifting the blame onto OP won't do her any good. She needs to hold her own daughter accountable for the person that she has turned into today. So glad her boyfriend left her. He seems like a good person, and dumping the toxicity will only do him good. NTA, OP's mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and husband seem to have no communication skills, jumping from one conclusion to the other and not listening to every side of the story. The household seems toxic to me. Please consider getting couples counseling for yourself and your husband to work to build strong communication skills. Please go low to no contact with your mother-in-law and sister-in-law for the well-being of your marriage.
Next story.
Context. My boyfriend, 24, and I, 24, have been through some difficult times. He was unfaithful, and we've had issues related to his family not accepting me, as I'm not from the same culture and religion. He brought up the fact that if we were to get married, he would make sure all of his assets, such as cars and properties, were put into his family members' names, as he wants them to be protected if I were to cheat or leave him. I was obviously shocked by this and deeply upset with the thought that if anything were to happen to him, when we're married with kids, that myself and any future children would be left with nothing, as his family hate me. I don't get why he is so distrustful. He said if we were to divorce and I wasn't working because of having kids, then I'm not deserving of half. Is this a normal way to behave and treat someone you would like to marry? Would like to hear everyone's thoughts. So why do you want to stay with this person exactly? Why are you considering marrying someone who cheated on you and trusts you as much as if you cheated on him? People do prenup agreements, if you've heard of them, but saying this randomly seems like he's trying to cause a fight or something. Plus, it obviously comes from a place of distrust, and that's not cool. Not to be that guy, but are you sure he still isn't cheating? Seems like he has it on the mind.